This week on The Wise Guys.
What I understand is education is the number one reason why we are still in the position that we're in. Why? Because I'm going to exploit you, and when you have your freedom, I'm going to open institutions to you. Everything schools are based on what I want you to learn. Everything that I want you to do, the game, I'm only going to acknowledge you once you graduate from college. Why? Because I know that based on the problem that I created for you, it will be far hard for you to get to where I got to. Because you might have, like you might get pregnant, you might get somebody pregnant, your mom might, your brother might get shot, you might get shot, you ain't gonna make it. You're not gonna make it. So for me, it's like, we have to get to a point where we need to get structures where we create.
Yo, what's up, everybody? This is Kevin Unglad, and you are now tuning in to the Wise Guys podcast, brought to you by Flowered Concrete. Check it out.
Yo, what's going on? This is your boy, Kevin Unglad.
And this is Mark Cruz.
And once again, guys, we're back with another episode of the Wise Guys podcast. Mark, my brother, how you doing, man? How's everything going on with you, and on your end, my bad.
Everything's beautiful, can't complain. Just the daily grind, same old thing, make it happen. How about you?
Hey, man, just, by the time this episode airs, we'll be in the fall, but, trying to stay cool this summer, man, and we've had, and we're currently having, like, a spread or span of heat waves, so just trying to stay cool, you know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Yeah, man, so, just trying to stay cool in this weather, but I love it, though, man. I love burning up in the heat. I'll take 105-degree weather every day, as opposed to, just freezing in 25, 15-degree weather, so this is nothing for me, man. I take every single day with pleasure.
I'm with you, bro. I'm trying to stay inside, though. I like the fall, so this isn't really my season at all.
Oh, yeah, really? Oh, no, this is mine, man. I'm roasting and all, man. This is me. This is me all the way. Yeah, bro. First and foremost, man, it's been a while since we've recorded, but we're back again for another episode. Again, it might sound crazy to the listener because I'm sure they heard our episode last week, episode 34, Can't Get Enough, Addictions, but Wise Community, little teaser or little, sneak peek into what, Mark and I's crazy process. It has been a while since we've recorded. But nonetheless, we're here to, give you more of, what you want and what you ask in terms of the Wise Guys, and, this is what we do. So, Mark, as you know, season 2, the theme or the topic for this season, right, is all about breaking cycles, cycles that, we currently find ourselves in, cycles that, our parents or the generations before them have found themselves in, and, us as, the newbies or the youngsters trying to change the world, we're trying to break those cycles, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so with this episode 35, I think this is an aptly titled one. It's called Breaking Chains, Becoming Better Men. Breaking Chains, Becoming Better Men. And so for this episode, I think it's going to be a really good one because we're actually bringing back some really cool guests from season 1 onto the show today. Am I right?
Absolutely. Definitely right about that.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, without further ado, I'd really love to, announce these guys and bring them back onto the show. I'm going to go linear first. I'm going to start with episode 7. Episode 7, we had one of my very, very close friends, Jimmy Frederick, on the show. And we talked about, marriage, being great men as teachers, as leaders on the episode Love Yours. And again, just a tremendous guy. And he recently celebrated his 1-year wedding anniversary. So it's kind of crazy that he's back on at this point in time, just being in alignment with his 1-year anniversary of his wedding. And, I love this guy like a brother. So we're really, really excited and happy to have him back on the show. So Jimmy, welcome back onto the show, man. How you doing, bro?
Kev, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing really good. I just feel really honored that you and Mark bring me back on the show and just chop it up.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Welcome back. And, this other brother who I actually met through Jimmy at Jimmy's wedding. He's a really, really cool guy, man. Mark, I remember you said last season your favorite episode was with Gene when we talked about the business. So we talked about business on the Businessman episode 8 on season 1. And
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and man, like this guy has a brilliant mind. He definitely reminds me a lot of you too. Like even when we were talking that episode, I saw a lot of you in him and vice versa. I thought you guys really clicked well, and I'm really looking forward to the day where you both are able to link up in person. I think you guys will really be able to build. But without further ado, man, I want to bring back my guy, Jimmy's guy, Gene. Yeah, welcome back onto the show, bro.
Thank you guys for having me. That's so good to be back.
Absolutely. How you doing, Gene? How you holding up this summer? How's everything going for you?
I'm doing great. I'm actually almost made there with Jimmy now because I relocated from New York to New Jersey.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you. And I recently got married.
You did?
So, yeah.
Wow! Congratulations, bro.
Bro,
Yes, he did.
Oh man, congratulations on that. I'm so happy to hear that. You know, one thing I really like about this podcast is that every time Mark and I bring people back on from season 1, something life-changing always happens to them in a great way. So I think that says that we are wise people, man. I think that's really cool.
Absolutely.
For sure. Excellent.
Of course.
Well, gentlemen, all three of you, today's episode, once again, episode 35 is called Breaking Chains, Becoming Better Men, all right? So I just want to kind of, waste no more time and kind of just delve right into it, okay? So the first question I'm going to throw out there to all of you today, and again, as I told you guys prior, when I was prepping with notes, it's just freestyle here. So whoever feels like responding, please feel free if this speaks to you. So I'm going to start off with question number 1, all right? So the first question is, what is the primary, and I think all of you might have something to say about this, what is the primary concern for black men currently in this day and age and space that we live in? What is the primary concern for black men at the moment? What is the hot pressing issue that we need to deal with?
I guess I'll answer it first.
All right, sure thing, yeah.
Yeah. Because I do teach 7th and 8th graders.
Mm-hmm.
I teach U.S. history, and just in the climax of everything that was happening from March to now, with the COVID and Black Lives Matter and police brutality, I think one of the more primary concerns is a 2-part thing. The first part is the younger generation doesn't really feel like they have role models to, and when I say younger generation, I'm talking about black boys.
Yeah.
Don't really feel like they have role models to emulate, in the sense of oh man, this person's so cool. This is something I could see myself doing in the future.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just one teacher in the classroom, so it's very difficult, and this is a constant conversation I've had with my students, both in the 7th and 8th grade. And I think another issue for black men is the miscommunication between society and ourselves. Because for me, I just feel because I'm a black man and I've seen everything that has happened on television, I feel more, my sensors are so high now. So when I'm outside, I'm more aware of police officers. I'm more aware of white people. I'm more aware of my surroundings, because you have to be very cautious of how you operate in society as a black man, because society hasn't really developed a space where we could be comfortable with ourselves.
That's really good. The other gentleman on the call, anyone else would like to jump in on that and add their perspectives?
Sure. Yeah, you said the primary concern of young black boys, right?
No, just the primary concern for black men currently. So it could be black boys, it could be black men that are adults, whatever you feel, Mark.
Well, I have to say, it's more, in my opinion, it's survival. So a lot of black men don't have the time or energy to focus on one specific thing, like success or wealth or stuff like that. I think a lot of black men are merely just trying to survive and just try to raise their family the best they can.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel and I'm more leaning towards the everything below middle class. You know what I mean? The black men without degrees per se and without businesses that are just trying to work and raise a family. So I really feel a lot of a lot of our people in that area are merely trying to survive. So survive in terms of police officer interactions. They're trying to, stay away from, dangerous encounters with the police, trying to, work hard and excel with their jobs. So I feel like it's hard for that, black men in that area to focus on one thing. It's merely just survival.
Oh yeah,
that's my opinion, though.
No, for sure. No, that's really good. Yeah, Gene, you might as well get in on this too if you don't mind. What do you think?
I'll piggyback on what Jimmy and Mark said. I think for me, in my opinion, I think it's just existing in a system where the bars for black men are so low, but yet so high. Meaning, if we accomplished a lot of things, what society calls accomplishment, right? Like if we are able to, pull ourselves by the bootstrap, not that anybody does, really. But once you get to a certain level, when you look at your fellow like black men in the country, it feels like you've actually accomplished the impossible, right? It feels like we're not even supposed to be where we are right now. But at the same time, when you look at the people that you went to school with from other races, it seems like you have so much more to go. It seems like you haven't been able to get to a certain level in our society. So sometimes, at least for me, like it's always that it's like a battle, right? It's like, oh my God, I'm fortunate enough as a black man to have had the chance to go to college and take advantage of it, and I never I decided to invest in myself and get to where I am now. But at the same time, when I look at my friends from other races, I'm like, hey, like I could be doing way more. I'm not doing enough. So it makes it seem like for black men, it's never like we can never arrive, right? Not that there's a destination, but it seems like we constantly going for more because we feel like we've been privileged to be where we are, but at the same time we're not. It's never enough because we are looked down by others, right? It's like, hey, he's smart for a black guy, right? But at the same time, we look at it like, hey, I'm not that lucky because, like I worked to get here and everybody else is probably making more money than me, or everybody else is not getting killed by the police. I have to still figure it out. But then when I look at my brothers that are in the project or suffering or getting killed every day, I'm like, wow, like I'm actually doing better. So it's hard to exist in this system because we don't have a singular, like we don't have the luxury to just exist. You see what I'm saying? Like there's always, we can't just exist, right? Like I can't just exist. I have to fit in what this country says black men needs to be, and I have to fit in as what black people say a black man should be. And that's really, really hard to navigate.
Wow. No, I think that's really...
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that too.
Same, I agree with that.
I think that was really potent the way you... I mean, all of you guys, I think the way you pretty much, articulated, your thoughts and opinions on that was beautiful in terms of just like, saying how specific it is to existence and survival and how, you need that as a basic necessity just to maneuver and get around. Mark, I know we often talk about it, bro, in terms of like, us as black men, when we are with our own, we're more relaxed and we're more natural. And like, when we are in the presence of white people or within their space, we switch it up to make them feel comfortable. And, we tend to, I don't want to say like be subdued or we're docile, but, whatever energy like they provide us with, we try to match it. Like if you're walking down the street or you're jogging and then, a white person waves at you with a smile, it's almost as if like the black man has to wave back and smile like almost as a caricature of himself, just to make them feel safe and comfortable, within the realms of their existence. It's like, I for example, I know, I'll share a quick story. I know, I think it was yesterday actually, at my job actually, because I work at a rehabilitation facility for juvenile boys, and the boys get schooled there. They get taught. The principal for the program has an office there. And as she was leaving, me and a fellow brother of mine, who's also my coworker, we were inside of the control center. And as she was leaving, she waved at us to let us know she was leaving. And we said bye to her. We said bye to her while saying her name, but we waved in an exaggerated form with a huge broad smile. And then I looked at him afterwards. I was like, bro, it's kind of crazy how we both looked at her and we waved and we smiled like in almost an exaggerated way. He was like, Kev, this is how they feel safe, man. This is the only way you're going to make them feel comfortable, especially if it's a white woman. And I was like, you know what, bro, you're absolutely right. So it's just so crazy how sometimes, like, we're always thinking about survival, even if it's subconscious, Man, I think that's pretty interesting.
I told you hit the nail on the head with that one as well, Kev. But there's a twist to that also.
Oh, share, bro. What's up?
When we're in the like you said, in the presence of white people, we do tone ourselves down a bit. We try to appear less threatening because we know it can sometimes be a sensitive situation. But that survival term that we were just talking about kind of goes both ways, because when we're in the presence of other races, we try to subdue ourselves and be a bit more gentle and submissive, one would say. But when we're in our own neighborhoods, sometimes we have to be defensive in fear of something happening to us from our own people. And I know crime happens everywhere, you know what I mean?
Right.
So but I'm just saying, like, where does the black man stay? Does he move to a white area where he's safe, but not safe because he has to kind of act submissive and trying to appear less threatening, or does he stay in an area of his own where it's possibly dangerous? And so I know there's middle class black areas, there's poor black areas, there's rich black areas, but a lot of the time one can't always afford that middle class or that rich area. Mm-hmm. So when he has to live in an area where it's a bit more poverty, now he's in danger, in his own area amongst his own people, and he's in danger in a white area. So where does the black man stay in America?
That's really good. Any what do you guys want to add to that? Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, if I could just jump in, I think Mark, again, he hit it on the nail. The whole concept of where does the black man stay, like, that's something that I literally internally fight with every day. Because I live in an area in New Jersey where someone will, like, see it as a white area. And, like, I find myself, like, even, like, jogging outside or walking outside, like, to Mark's point, like, trying to make everyone around me feel comfortable. Whereas for me, it's like, wait, this is not me. Like, I should be able, as a black man, to, like, live somewhere where I'm comfortable as well too. I shouldn't have to, like, make everyone in the room feel comfortable. Like, but it's just a challenge that we face on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anyone else want to add anything in before I move on to the next question?
Right before we move, I just want to say that sometimes I think that maybe we have to get to a point where we also unlearn that, because I have. And Jimmy and I hang out all the time, so he knows how I am. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm conscious of being me at all time, and that sounds cliche, but the reason why I say that is because sometimes your perception of someone, right, may not be true. Like, maybe I don't want to work. I don't want to stop in a executive meeting and automatically think that, oh my God, I'm a black man, and then they white. So they're going to look at me a certain way, because in a way that actually diminish what we can accomplish. Right? Because in that moment, I'm looking for approval as opposed to asserting myself. Right? So we have to also get to a point where we actually stop making people feel comfortable, or believing that we have to make other people feel comfortable. Right? Like, if somebody waves at you, you can wave back. But the fact that we even think about that is an issue, and unless we stop thinking about that, we will never stop doing it. So I just wanted to add that.
I can agree with that as well. I mean, that is true. If you let's just say we just were acting completely ourselves and didn't try to make anyone feel comfortable or act overly friendly in any way, would there be consequences? I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, you would hope not, but there's so many instances where there were consequences. So I think that's just a lot of people trying to play it safe opposed to taking the chance.
Yeah.
Because you have a lot of people in neighborhoods, like there was a young woman in Valley Stream where she's just being terrorized by, you know, white people in her area. They want her out of the neighborhood. So it's like,
I remember that.
Trying to prevent a situation. You know, not saying it's definitely going to happen, but a lot of people just would rather play it safe than
that's
go all out.
Yeah. It's not the easiest thing to do, but I think that it's definitely worth exploring, right? Because at some point we have to live our lives, right? At some point.
Yeah, no,
Absolutely.
Without a doubt. And Mark, if I'm not mistaken, I think the young lady that was in Valley Stream and that was getting terrorized, I think it was all over social media. I think I've seen it on Twitter and Facebook. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
It's like, was she being herself and was penalized for it, which is horrible. It just makes you question, like, man, like she I know she did nothing wrong, but they just didn't want her being her in their area, which is absurd.
Right, absolutely.
And what is the answer to that? Move? Because then if you move, you basically show them that all they have to do is harass you when you get up and run. So it's tough to say.
Yeah.
It's tough to say.
Definitely.
Tough to say what the answer is.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, excellent, brothers. Man, we're warming up. This is really, really good. All right, so I'm gonna get to the.
No, actually, sorry to cut you off.
Oh no, go ahead, man. Go ahead, for sure.
I see what the brother was talking about when he said we need to experiment with, you know, not trying to make people feel comfortable, because think of the toll that takes on your mental health, man.
Yeah, man.
You know, you're constantly snapping into character and then snapping back out, and then you're relieved, and you snap up, and it's just that's just up and down. Say it again.
It's like video game.
Yeah, exactly. It's just not good for you. It's just not good for the mind, man. It's just like constantly being on alert, and then when you see someone, you snap into character. It's just like, yeah, it's definitely not healthy, man. Not healthy at all.
It reminds me of episode 14, Mark, when we talk about the art of hate and like having to like, downplay my accomplishments or diminish myself to make my friends feel comfortable. It's what was the word? I think the word was toxic that you used. That's very toxic. It's very toxic.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of toxicity when it comes to that. All right, cool. Excellent. So question number 2 is, okay, whoever wants to answer this first, feel free to just hop in there. The second question is, will having a career be enough for self-sustainment as well as the development of your own family? So again, we're still talking about the black man here. So imagine you're living in middle class or a rich class, area. Will having a fantastic career be enough for self-sustainment as well as the development and growth and progress of your family? So whether you be whether that is you as an attorney, a lawyer, a Fortune 500 CEO, business owner, in a secluded, suburban white neighborhood. What do you guys think? Will having a career be enough as a black man to be valid and to be respected in these types of environments?
Ooh, that's
a deep question, Cass.
That's a deep question, because it's like, as you asking that question, I'm sitting here and I'm like, we all think different, which is a great thing, right?
Yeah.
But I'm looking at it as, I'm not sure if I necessarily want to live in an area where everybody is, I understand that we live in a world where you have to play the game, right? It's not like we live in our own world that's separated from the world, like from the actual world we live in. Like, we need to abide by certain rules. We need to play certain games.
Mm-hmm.
I think that for us to advance, and by that I mean black men, we need to play our own game within the game, right? Like, we need to, because I'm like when you say, oh, you're a lawyer, you're in a secluded area, you have none of your original, like, let's say black people or Spanish people that you grew up with, or even white people that you grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
You go to an area that's better, right? Like Jimmy said, you go to an area that's safe, you go to an area that's nice, but now it's hard to stay grounded. And I was talking to my wife yesterday. It's like, the more money we make, we move to areas where we are tolerated and not celebrated. But the areas where we are celebrated, where we grow up, none of us has ever been taught to make those areas better. We always thought to leave for some reason. There's another area that's better than our area, instead of us fixing where we are. And where we are, not necessarily physically, but mentally, right? Like, if you think about how this country was founded, this country was founded because you have people in England that were looking for better opportunity, right? Or England itself was looking for expansion.
Yep.
So they went somewhere, right? Then people got here. They realized, okay, this is not working for us. We need to take this away from them. They take it away from them, and then they purchase new areas. So in a way, like for us as an American, it's almost deeply rooted in our DNA to always want to leave where we are to get to a better place, even though that might cost us our sanity and our peace, right?
Wow.
So our success and our careers, I mean, as a black man, our careers don't get us respected. Let's be honest. It gets us respected by black people, and it gets us respected by people that want to see us as people. People that don't see us as people, it doesn't matter what we do. We can have all the degrees we want, and that's a point where black people in general and black men have to realize your accolades and your accomplishment are not going to change how someone who's racist is going to see you. And you shouldn't try to get those goals so that they see you in a different way. Again, we go back to that, I'm trying to make them comfortable. My job is not for you to see me as something. My job is to do what I need to do so I can advance my family one way or another. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I believe it at that, yeah.
That's perfect.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with that.
Whoever, Jimmy, Mark, whoever want to go first. It's okay. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, go ahead, brother. Oh, thank you, Mark. Yeah, I was just gonna piggyback off what Gene said. I think like the whole concept of like logically like going to this ideally perfect neighborhood, you're accepted, not necessarily celebrated, and I definitely have felt that. I just think like it's, you know, your accolades and all your accomplishments, you know, they're respected to some degree, but it's not necessarily seen as, oh, this is going to be the decision maker. Like, I'll give you an example, you know, like as a middle school teacher, like I can say, hey, you know, I have these 2 degrees and I've done this, and, you know, I'm very accomplished as a teacher, but like my colleagues who are white, oftentimes having conversations with them, I would literally say something to them and they're like, oh yeah, that sounds great. And then they would spit it back to their supervisors. I'm like, wait, we just had the same conversation. It's so weird.
Wow.
So like, to that point, I'm always like enraged. But like, as far as like living someplace for the betterment of your family, I just think it's difficult because of the time that we're in now. And you know, when someone says like Black Lives Matter or All Lives Matter, like that's a topic of conversation. And that experience of being a black man, like you literally have to be at the forefront of it. And it's difficult because like I want to be myself, but I also don't want to live in a community where I have to make everyone feel comfortable. Like I should be entitled to wear a hoodie. I should be entitled to have my hand in my pocket if it's dark outside. I'm walking down a block opposite of a white Caucasian woman. Like, you know, these are things that go through my mind, but like, that white person doesn't, oh, that's Kevin, he's so established, or oh, that's Mark, he's a phenomenal speaker, or oh, that's Gene, he's successful. They see you as a black man, like, and that's stuff that we go through on a daily basis. So as far as like advancing your family, it's awesome. Like ideally, when my wife and I do decide to purchase a home, I would love to live in a beautiful neighborhood, but I know what's going to come after that. I know the conversations that I'm going to have with my future children. I know the stares that we are going to take on. I know the conversations that I'm going to have with my neighbors. Like, these are things that I'm prepared for because I know, like, in this world that we live in, it's not prepared. It's not ready for a quote-unquote successful black man to live in an area with his family.
Wow.
Definitely.
Definitely. Yep. Mark, what's up? What you got?
Yeah, I agree with both of these brothers. I mean, it's completely true. A lot of the time, you know, we grow up and we're trained that if we get this degree, somehow it'll increase our worth and change our lives and put us in places we've never been before. And I mean, it may do that, but it's a lot of it's just really a complete lie, because it's like you guys said before. You know, you can have the degree, but you're still a black man with a degree. You know, that doesn't change the color of your skin and the way people see you. And you know, a black guy has to take 10 steps for every 2 steps, you know, a white guy may take. So it still is a tough road. And then to go back to your question, Kev, you said, is it possible for someone with a career to excel?
I said the question was, will having so it's geared towards black men, will having a career be enough for one to be self-sustained as well as excel and you know, bring their families up, progress?
Oh, well, I mean, to answer the question, I mean, definitely, because you can have a career and you can invest your money and, you know, build your wealth that way. I mean, that's excelling and, you know, pushing your family upwards. But in terms of in society, probably not.
Mm-hmm.
Wealth-wise, of course, because you can save your money, you can invest it, you can, you know, you can move out and build your wealth outside of that community, or you can build your wealth within the community, you know, based on how you budget your money. But in society's eyes, I mean, you know, you're still a black man.
Yeah.
You're not going to gain the respect of your peers just because you've done these tremendous things.
Right.
It really doesn't matter what your accomplishments are. A lot of people only see color, and they don't. And you know, if you're rich, you're a rich black guy instead of just a rich person. So, I mean, it's for some reason the color of our skin is looked at in some races look at it as like a stigma or some type of something negative. You know what I mean? So it's as if we're of a lower class or something like that. So it's really a tough thing, man. But to answer your question, yeah, you can definitely excel, and you can invest and create that generational wealth for your children and grandchildren. So it's definitely possible.
Mm-hmm.
Just not, you know, in society's eyes.
It's interesting that you say that because you know, I just kind of want to go back to what Gene and Jimmy were saying. I have a coworker of mine that actually lives in Windsor Locks, Connecticut, which is you know, a very small, you know, liberal white town for the most part. And he tells me every day around 8 o'clock in the morning he goes to pick up his trash can and to bring it into the yard. And he tells me every day around that time his neighbor comes out and is like, "Hey Matt, how you doing? How's it going?" And then he's just like, I don't know if he's really, you know, concerned or really wants to see me and ask how I'm doing, or if he's just, you know, surveillancing me and just wants to come out to make sure I'm not doing anything wrong. Because I just moved there like about 2-3 years ago with my wife and my kids, and I don't know what this white man's perception of me is, and I don't know what his intention is. Like, he said, "You know what I'm gonna do, Kev?" He said, He said, "I'm gonna go out there tomorrow morning around 7:15 and try to see if I can beat him and try to read the trash can. And that way, when he tries to pop out, I'm gonna look through my window to see what he's thinking." And I was like, "Man, I think you're overthinking it, man." He said, "Yeah, you're right. I am overthinking it, but that's what happens to us as black people. You don't know what your white neighbors might be thinking of you, so you're constantly in your head all the time." And I was just like, "Wow, man, it's so crazy that he said that, because like it becomes a mental game for us. You know, we try to move to these communities to seek and find peace, but then we're going crazy because, you know, we think that we're against all odds here, you know, in terms of the people who are predominantly white or whatever race they may be in the area. It's crazy."
That's amazing. And I think sometimes it might be paranoia.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes
It is paranoia.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like sometimes we kind of make up these things in our head. I mean, no, don't get me wrong. I mean, these things happen to people, but we tend to sometimes overthink it because we've experienced racism in our lives. So we just are always guessing what are they thinking. I don't want them to think this. I don't want them to think that. So it's tough, man. That's a tough one. I do that myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I just thought it was fascinating. Just, whether he was right or wrong, I just thought it was just interesting to think about. Like, man, these are some problems we really have, man. Like, so as much as we try to get away from like our own problems within our own community, like, even when we go there, we're never at peace of mind. It's really a duality, or double consciousness, as W.E.B. Du Bois said, in regards to the black man. Like, when you're around black people, you're thinking a certain way, or when you're around white people, you're thinking both in a black perspective and a white perspective. If I do this to him, I might get jail time, or I might get pulled over by the cops because I was talking or raising my voice. I don't know. I just think it's just very interesting that there's so many layers and ripples under it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I just it intrigues me. It really, really intrigues me.
Pick your poison.
Yeah, pick your poison. Right. Absolutely. Excellent. So the third question for the night, gentlemen, is and I guess I don't know, anyone pitch in, but I think this might be geared towards me and Jimmy. I guess is the sector of education. Is the sector of education exhausting for black men? And when I say is the sector of education exhausting for black men, I mean both as teachers and educators, and as well as the black men that are seeking additional education and as well as degrees. What do you all think, or any of you think? Is the sector of education exhausting for black men in general?
I think so. I mean, I would say just for black people in general, or many people in general, because in ways the education system has failed the people.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were promised such great things if we got our degrees, but many got the degree, they invested. And just like any investment, sometimes you do have to take out debt to get this investment.
Mm-hmm.
And the investment didn't work out. It didn't work out for a lot of people.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Grandma told me if I get straight A's, if I go to college, I'll never have to worry about a thing. And
yeah.
they're worrying about a lot right now.
Right.
There's a lot of things that they're worried about.
Right.
So all that advice that they got was wrong, and now they're looking at the degree like, wow, and I did it, but I really didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And that is that's a tough one. I mean, the education system has definitely failed all people. Unless you are. I mean, come on. We have those. We have people that have slipped through the cracks and worked their way up into magnificent positions, but for the average person, it's definitely failed them. I mean, I in my network, I know some people who they have jobs lined up for their sons before they even enter college.
Before they're born.
Anything like that. What you said?
You said before. What did you say?
They are born.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They got the plans all out. He says, I've heard your major's going to be this. You're going to go to this school, and then you're going to work here. And they do it, and they follow the exact roadmap. We have no roadmap. We're running with no direction. We just ran into the college with no direction, came out with a degree, and now we're looking around for the opportunity. We're like both of you brothers said, we're playing in a system that wasn't designed for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I agree to Mark's point. I think that whole concept of being exhausted, it's so true, because you can think about this whole American dream of get your degree and you'll get a professional job and everyone will love you. That's not necessarily always the reality. And just the whole struggle of, for everyone who's in my cohort or for everyone I professionally work with, I have to work 10 times as hard as you do to even be acknowledged. That is a challenge within itself. So I just think the whole concept of fatigue mentally and physically is a real thing. And oftentimes people don't understand it because I don't think people grasp the concept of the black man being in the professional world, the black man trying to obtain a degree in a college that has a 16% graduation rate, and 80% of the black men who go to that college don't finish degrees there. These are real things, and I'm only saying this because my wife, she works in higher ed, so I know of these statistics. So it is exhausting.
Yep.
It is tiring. It is hard. But I always say, we as black men, whoever we could directly influence in our circle of sphere, that's what we should be doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So I would say that. So I have a bunch of points to make here, and the reason why is because I used to work in education. So I used to run a nonprofit. I've worked in education for 11 years prior to me getting into tech and real estate. So I just want to say that it is tiring for black men as a student and as a teacher, and I'll tell you why. So I was working in a campus Spanish and black. Right? Most of the school was Spanish. Most of the administration of the school, when it came to admin jobs, were all Spanish and black. All of the deans, right, where most of the deans were like maybe half and half, like half white, half black. It was always black. Now, the teachers, the professors were all white, right? So you are in a system where that promotes, right? You're in a system that promotes education. You go to school, you graduate, you do that. Every type of medicine, one size fit all. What you have, you're gonna make it.
Gene, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off right now, but you're breaking up a little bit. I don't know if you're in a certain spot in your house.
You hear me better?
Yeah, you sound a little bit better now. Yeah, Keep talking.
All right.
Yep,
so
you sound better.
What I was saying is, you're in a system where we tell people, hey, this is one size fit all. You go to school, and this is what's gonna happen. What we don't do, right? And Jimmy can attest to that, right? You have kids that succeed in certain environments. We never take that into consideration. The black community, the black people or poor people, period, don't have a luxury to have they try different things outside of what's being conceived as the one-size-fit-all solution, right? So as an educator, I used to work with kids, getting them from jail, getting them the GED, getting them to college and graduate. And I always wanted to graduate student, and they've done it. They graduated from college, from getting a GED. And I love that. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, this kid graduates, or when he's going to school and he's facing eviction, am I expecting him to go through the same route everybody else as he's going through the problem that not everyone is going through, right? Like, has unique problems, but even myself, like, I faced eviction when I was in college. I had to take care of two siblings when I was in college, but I had to perform just like everybody else. When we have, like, now we're in a different age, some kids from our neighborhoods need to be exposed to plumbing, to carpentry early in the game, because the game that we're trying to play, and this is warfare. What people don't understand is education is the number one reason why we are still in the position that we're in. Why? Because I'm going to exploit you, and when you have your freedom, I'm going to open institutions to you. Everything, schools are based on what I want you to learn. Everything that I want you to do, the game, I'm only going to acknowledge you once you graduate from college. Why? Because I know that based on the problem that I created for you, it will be far hard for you to get to where I got to. Because you might have, like, you might get pregnant, you might get somebody pregnant, your mind might, your brother might get shot, you might get shot, you ain't gonna make it. You're not gonna make it. So for me, it's like, we have to get to a point where we need to get structures where we create wealth and we create jobs. I don't care if that's through college. I don't care if that's through education. Is not just limited to college. We have carpentry, we have coding, we have plumbing, we have becoming a contractor, we have landscaping. Black people, we don't control, and outside of entertainment, which we also don't control, we have no sector that is, like, if you look at Spanish people, they got their restaurant. That's the thing. They got their restaurant. That's what they got. Everybody knows. You go over there, this is what they do. You go to certain areas, this is what they do. The Chinese have it. We don't have it. Because we've been taught this whole time that, yo, the only way you're going to make it and we're going to respect you is if you go to school and get a master. Knowing damn well that's not going to happen. Because we have to go through so much. And that's the reason why I left my job, because I didn't believe the mission anymore. I used to tell these kids, guys, if I did it, you can do it. That's the biggest lie we tell kids in this country.
Yeah.
It's not. And I'm sorry if I'm speaking a little like too passionately about this, but I told Jimmy, I'm like, yo, we can teach kids how to put furniture together. That's a job.
Right.
Like, we have to create, like, we can't allow, like, for somebody to go to school for 4 years. Think about this. You're gonna go. He got accepted to Stanford. Okay, you gotta take a loan. Come out. How much money is he gonna make? So from a business standpoint, by the time you graduate from college, it's gonna take you 20 years to break even, or 15 to 10 years to break even, and that's if you have a job that allows you to pay minimum on your student loans.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
very true.
That game, that education game we have, has to change.
Mm-hmm.
It has to change. Good teachers, I agree. We need teachers that believe in kids, but not teachers that believe in kids to be what the system wants it to be.
Yeah.
That's a tough.
That's a fact. Man, there's so many gems and bars dropped there, Gene. You're absolutely right. Mark, we had a conversation recently over text. I think it was about a month ago. I think I was telling you that at my job, my new job now, me and a couple of the brothers in there were having a conversation, we're just having a convo. One of them was a shift supervisor, and the other two were mentors to the youth at the workplace. But in the convo itself, Mark, I remember telling you that me and the supervisor were talking, and then it somehow came out that I had a master's, and I guess he never knew that, because I never promoted it or threw it out there, because I didn't think it was important at all to let people know that. And then I remember him stopping me mid conversation. He was like, "Whoa, hold up." He's like, "You have a master's, Kev?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Bro, you should be making way more than you do right now." And I was like, "In theory." And then he was like, "What?" And then he was like, "What do you mean?" "Nah, bro." He said, "I don't want to question how much you're making in terms of salary, but Kev, I would probably be asking for at least twice as much or something near that." And I was like, "In theory, my brother, in theory." I was like, just because a black man has a master's, it's just an illusion. Especially if you only got that master's 2, 3 4 years ago, very recently, and you're still building your career, or you're switching a career, and you're still, a newbie, and you're not really deeply entrenched within the game. So I was like, in theory, my brother. Because it's so funny, because had he told me that when I was 24, 25, Mark, you remember me back then, I would have been like, hell yeah, brother, you're right, man. I need to go speak to the white man, man. This is crazy. But like, now I'm 29, I'm like 6 months away from 30. I'm like, nah, brother, in theory, man, in theory, because kind of goes back to what Gene said. I'm still playing catch up, man. I still got to work 5, 6, 7 years, in theory, just to even say, all right, you know what? Let's move him up. Let's give him the mid-level exception. Let's give him 80,000 now. The Negroes worked for it. You know what I'm saying? And then I probably got to put another 10, 15 years. By the time I'm like 50, 55, maybe cracking 90, 95K, depending on what field it is. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy, man, how people really have an idea or a mindset that, if I just have these degrees, I'll be making so much. It's like, nah, my brother, it's in theory, man. When you really actually do it, such as myself, it's like, damn it, everything grandma or grandpa or dad said to me is not true. Just like you said earlier, Mark. It's crazy. It's really, really mind-boggling.
And I'm sure you blew his mind.
Yeah.
Because that situation is proof at how good the system works. This man, to this day, believes that master's degree is the key to his success.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like he's trying to convince you, a master's degree holder, that you have the key to success.
Right.
Yeah. It's just mind-boggling.
Yep.
Mind-boggling.
Yep. And mind you, the system works. Mind you, he has no degrees, brother, and he's looking up to me as if I'm some kind of god. It's like, my brother, I'm just a nigga, just like you, bro. We still here in the trenches together, man. Don't let my 3 degrees confuse you. All 3 of them, we're still the same, bro. It's crazy. It's really, really crazy. Yeah, go ahead.
That's the one thing that we still haven't gotten to, we haven't put our finger on it, the education portion of it.
Yep.
Like, I want to see Jimmy play teach kids how to play basketball,
Mhm.
and there was so many moments of like lessons in that. Like he was taking time, making sure they didn't take no shortcut, making sure that the drill was done on point, and had them do it over and over and over again. That's education to me.
Yes.
And like not to take anything away from what you guys do, because you guys are like I used to do that just for a living. I've taught, I've wrote curriculum, I've done this for, and I got to a point where I'm like, as a teacher, what can you do? You teach policy, that's one,
Mhm.
right? You are limited. And on top of that, like sometimes I have to ask myself, like, I'm teaching this kid that probably is going home, is going and living with 8 people, numbers, which is good.
Mhm.
To be teaching a way to get out of that situation.
Mhm.
And it's not impossible. It's not impossible. But we somehow, like for example, like you look, the 8th grade or the 12th graders, only 30 pass, right? I remember it was a time where I used to tell my kids, I was like, if one of you go to college and none of you, like, perfect example, I have a friend of mine, Ray is like 36 years old. He works here in Jersey. He works as a Rainey. When I met Rainey was 25 years old.
Mhm.
His brother was like 20, and they were going to school. First semester, he didn't do good. He had a problem with his eyes. He had surgery. He didn't see. He tore his meniscus, like a whole bunch of health issues. So I told him, he came back. He's like, Gene, I want to go to college. I told him, I said, bro, you're wasting your time. He's like, how you're the one that works here and you tell me I'm wasting my time. I said, Vinny, this game is not for you. You need a different game. You need to get you a job. And I don't mean just go get any job, but I need you to learn how to do something that you're really good at that you're going to get paid for. And now, when I moved to Jersey, he's the guy that helped me move to Jersey.
Mhm.
Like, he's the dude that I called because I don't know how things work at the beginning, him and Jimmy. And my coach, and he became like my brother. And he told me the other day with tears in his eyes, he's like, I didn't understand what you were telling me at the beginning, but now I see what you're saying. Because now he has a house. Now his brother has a chance. His brother wants to be a musician, right? His brother would have never gotten a chance to do what he's doing now had this brother didn't, like, if he didn't take a chance of trying something different. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's something that we have in our community. Everybody wants to go to college. College is for kids that have guaranteed outcomes after they leave. We don't have that.
Mm.
Right. So for some of us, it works. For others, there's kids that tell them, I'm going to take you 6 weeks, 6 weeks, I'm going to put you on the program, just teach you with the job. They don't commit themselves for 6 months, but they can commit themselves for 4 months when you don't know what you're going to eat tomorrow. 4 years. You can go to 4 years when you don't know what you're going to eat tomorrow.
Mhm.
That's right.
That's true.
Yeah. I don't just think. Oh, I'm sorry, Gene. Oh, go ahead, Gene. I'm sorry.
No. That's. I'm gonna leave it like that. There's so much I get so passionate about this because that's just the reason why I left my job because I didn't believe in my mission anymore.
Right.
Right. And I just think, like, when you think of the whole concept of college or vocational school or trade school, I think, like, you also have to factor in where people are coming from, because I know Kevin can agree with this. Like, I grew up in a Haitian household, which that was all my mother talked about was going to college. There was never, go try this or try that, go to trade school. Like, it was always college.
Mhm.
But I think, like, as far as, like, helping the black man advance, I think we do have to give our children or even younger black men, like to your point, Gene, you had a 25-year-old who was like, hey, I want to go to college. And you're like, hey, I don't think it's great for you right now. I think you should try something else. I think the key to life is exposure. And that's the difference between us and white people.
Yeah.
Like, I grew up around white people. I went to high school with them. And, like, they would go on fishing. They would go on camping trips. They would go overseas with their families, or they will do this sport, or they will do that sport, they will do this piano lesson and that, or whatever. So I think, like, for us, it's all about exposure. It's like not always telling the child that college is the end-all, fade-all.
I think like giving different options to everyone, because at the end of the day, college is not for everyone. Like I went to college and I got 2 degrees. That's awesome, but I don't know if someone else next to me would necessarily do the same thing. Because I have a friend who was like, no, college is absolutely not for me. And we went to high school together. We got the same education, same family upbringing. He's also Haitian, and we grew up together. But he decided to be an NYPD cop. He was like, well, college is not for me. So I just think like giving people different options, and that would lessen the fatigue factor.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, very true. Definitely. I feel like like you brothers mentioned before, a lot of people feel like, a lot of our people feel like we don't have the option to fail, so we try to go with the guarantee thing. But in reality, there is no guarantee thing. So we need that exposure, like you said. But it just sucks because, the education system kind of trains us to think that there's only one way to do it. And it's almost frowned upon to do something like, a plumber or electrician. It's like not the ideal circumstances, when you're in elementary school and high school, when, you're speaking about these things. And we definitely have to somehow change that narrative and put a spotlight on these professions, because it's clear that college isn't working. And, you're watching your cousins, your aunts, your uncles, your dad, your mom fail at college. And I'm not saying everyone, but there's a large percentage that are failing when it comes to this college game. And for us to watch our family members struggle through this and do the exact same thing, that is mind-blowing. Like I see people all the time, like their sister went to college. It didn't work out for her. She couldn't find a job in her field. And then they go on to go to college just to repeat the same exact thing their sister did. We've got to start just learning from the mistakes of our peers and try to look towards other options.
Yeah.
But it's just that high school is the education system, just for adolescents, is so good at training us that if you don't go to college, you're an idiot. And I feel like, with this social media era of, people are starting to open up their eyes and see that, okay, I don't have to do college. I mean, there's people making 6 figures on YouTube. So it's so many options that we have, and it's just a matter of kind of unlearning what, high school drills into us.
Yep.
Without a doubt. Anyone want to add any other comment before I move on to our final question of the night? Oh.
No, we good, bro.
Right.
Yeah, we're good, guys.
All right. Okay. Cool. Excellent. Cool. All right. So our fourth and final question of today's episode, and as well as this evening, Wise Community, is: so does the presence? Okay. Here we go. It's a bit of a loaded question, so follow me here, guys. The question is: does the presence and lack of faith contribute to the success of a man? So again, the question is: does the presence I should have added that in there. Does the presence and or lack of faith contribute to the success of a man? So when I say faith, I mean faith on multiple levels. I mean faith spiritually, personally, emotionally, right? Support-wise, whether you're in a marriage or you're in a committed relationship, whether it's your girlfriend, your fiance, your spouse has faith in you, your family, and as well as your careers. So again, when I say faith, that's a word with a myriad of definitions there. So does the presence and or lack of faith contribute to the success of a man? And obviously, when I say the success of a man, I'm talking about the black man here. What do you guys think?
Yeah, if I could just jump on this question, because this definitely relates to me. So 3 years ago, I was the keynote speaker for my 8th graders who are graduating, and the theme of that conversation was, what would you do? How would you take on challenge when challenge gets to you? Like, would you hold up, or would you succeed, or would you push forward? Because I told them that Martin Luther King said, characters develop when you take on controversy and challenges. And I just think, for me, something that I always tell my students is, I am not an ideal person at all. I grew up in New York City education. I thought I was great until I got to college, and I was taking remedial math, I was taking remedial writing, I was taking remedial reading, and I had to literally struggle 3 semesters to get out of those courses because I really wasn't that person who I thought I was. So I just think, like, when facing those seasons, like, one thing that I was always consistent with, like, I always envisioned myself being in the classroom. That was something that I always did. Like, I always thought about it. I always dreamed about it. I always spoke it into existence. And when it finally happened, after graduating college, it felt so surreal because, like, the classroom that I envisioned is the classroom that I'm actually teaching in right now. Like, the conversations that I envisioned as I was speaking it into existence were the conversations that I was currently having with my students. So I think, like, the whole concept of having faith, like believing in something before it even happens, like, you need that. There's no way that you can go through life without having some kind of faith in yourself. Like, even if you don't believe in a God, you still need some kind of, like, entity of faith.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I would approach that.
Most certainly.
I mean, I think that faith has, unfortunately, faith has been reduced to religious, like lingo.
Mm-hmm.
But what people don't understand is you cannot be what you don't dream of. You cannot be what you don't believe in. You cannot be what you don't think of. Like, I would never be a doctor because I never think about being a doctor.
Right.
Right? Like, I would never be a gangbanger because I never think about that. You see what I'm saying? Like, not saying that, the situation don't happen where you find yourself in certain situations, but to be honest with you, faith is important and it's natural.
Mm-hmm.
I think people believe that having faith is something that is not natural. It requires a lot of work. No, it doesn't, because the ability to say, hey, tomorrow when you say, hey, tomorrow I'm just going to sit home and chill, what do you think that is? That is faith, because you believe that you will see tomorrow. You're not going to see tomorrow if it's not meant for you to see tomorrow. But you believe that you will see tomorrow, so therefore you make plans and you already see yourself doing those things even though they haven't happened yet, right? So it's really, really important for anyone, right? And I know people talk about that, you have to manifest, you have to say things that are positive. I don't think faith works the way people, like when people say, every day you tell yourself you're going to be something, so you're going to be it. I don't think it works that way. I think that all of us have innate talents and gifts, and we have something that we are supposed to do on earth. Whether you believe in God or not, I don't care about that. We all have specific things that we know we can do and we have to do. It's almost as if you don't accomplish that, you literally missed your whole purpose on earth. You see what I'm saying? So, and that thing right there, if you have that, you have to follow it. You see what I'm saying? Like, you have to follow it. Some people get lost in the way, and not everybody get we all have free will. Like, we do what we need to, like, whatever we want to do in certain to a certain extent. But I think that that's really, really vital to us. Like, we not, like, without faith, there's no human beings. Like, for us to make plans, like when you make plans for vacation, all right, I'm gonna save money. How do you know you're still gonna have that job?
That's
right. How do you know that, hey, I'm gonna go to college in 6 years, I'm gonna be in the classroom? How do you know you're even going to graduate from college? Especially, like you said, you have remedial courses. So for you to even think, your odds to be there were so slim, but the faith is not what makes the dream happen. The faith gives you something to hold on to so that you work like it's going to happen.
Right.
Right? So the faith is what makes you like, you know what, I see myself doing this. So what do I need to get to that point? And then you keep working and you keep working, and then when you get there, it feels good because you've seen that thing happen before. So when you go there, you're like, oh my God, it feels good to be here. And then when you get there, it doesn't last long, and it's like, okay, now what's next, right? And then you gotta have faith again for everything. Even for the brothers that are married, like Jimmy and I, like, we got married, it's all good, we love our women and all that, but how you know, like, we have faith that our marriage is gonna work. So because we have faith our marriage is going to work, we do the work so that our marriage will work.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Faith is it's the fuel to your life, to everything. Just because you see it doesn't mean it's going to happen, but because you see it, you work towards what you think will happen.
Right. It's kind of like I agree
Yeah.
too. It's kind of like and I'm again, tonight's podcast, Wives Community, ladies, if you're listening, if you're tuning in, this is for the brothers. Please don't get offended. I'm just trying to make a reference here. It's kind of like, the ladies out there who might, for example, they might go to the singles ministry or something like that, and then they'll be praying for a good man, a man that could love them, be one with them spiritually, emotionally, financially, the whole nines, and they're praying for a good man. They're praying for a husband, but then it's just like, I'm sorry, shorty, but have you worked on you lately? You know what I'm saying? Are you doing the work to prepare yourself for a man? Are you making sure that you're emotionally fit, physically fit, or at least in the right space of mind where you won't be toxic upon yourself or to that man? Are you working towards that? You know what I'm saying? Or it's like, I want to lose weight. It's like, okay, well, are you actively in the gym or doing something to lose weight? And vice versa. That the same goes for men too. I want a good woman, a woman who's, building with me. She's gonna, take care of me. I'm gonna take care of her, whatever, whatnot. But it's like, my dude, I saw you playing video games on Twitch the other day, and you've been on the couch for the past 5 months. How are you gonna find a woman, and how are you going to be a good man for her? You know what I'm saying? So it's like what they say: faith without works is dead, right, Gene? So I think that ties that up beautifully in regards to what you were saying. You want to throw something in there, Mark, about that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, well, actually, maybe say the question again. Let me see if I could.
Yeah, for sure. So the question is, does the presence and or lack of faith contribute to the success of a man? So we're talking about the black man here.
Okay, yeah, definitely. I think, 100%. I totally agree with what these brothers just said, because, I mean, Steve Jobs, I believe he said something similar, like, whatever if you don't believe you can do it, you won't do it.
Right.
And there was another quote that said, he who believes he can and he who believes he can't are both right.
Confucius.
Because if you truly don't believe that you can do it, you're like, those thoughts kind of dictate your energy, like just what you put all your energy into, what you actually pursue. So if you really don't believe in your heart that it's going to happen and you don't have the faith, you might as well not even start.
Right.
Because it's a waste of time.
Absolutely. For sure.
But these brothers kind of hit the nail on the head. I was just giving my little summary, but for sure, I totally agree.
Oh yeah.
It's powerful what the mind does. If it's really not right up in your mind, your body's not going to follow through.
Without a doubt. No, for sure. These brothers were just like, just throwing that, alley-oops, and you, Zion, you just joined the party, Pelicans late into the season. That's all.
Oh, man.
Yeah, man, that's all that was. Cool. So before we move on to the word to the wise, would we like to add anything else to this, or? Oh, okay.
I think this was really good. This was really good. I love this podcast. Love the talk. I think every time we throw out these words, sometimes it seems like they're meaningless, but I think it reinforces what we believe in, and it gives us more fuel to keep doing what we do. So
absolutely.
I appreciate you guys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Just to echo a little bit of what Gene said. Yeah, I think this was a great conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like us as black men having these like real conversations. I think it's essential. Like, people need to listen to this.
Mm-hmm.
I think people need to like do self-assessment, and to find out if we have any prejudices against ourselves, or if we have any lack of faith or whatever.
Right.
So I definitely think this is a great time just to sit back and really have an intentional conversation.
For sure. And gentlemen, don't rush the show yet. I mean, we still got the word to the wise segment. But before we close it out, I would just like to say again to all the wise ladies of the podcast, please do not kill me. Do not go into the Instagram comments and just start firing it away at me. Again, I love you all. That's also why I said the men too, who need to work on their faith and work on their works as well, to make sure that whatever it is that they're aspiring to become, or you're aspiring to become, that you're able to reach that. Because again, faith without works is dead. You have to put in the amount of work needed or that's necessary in order to become or exude what it is that you would like to be, and as well as to see come into fruition. So yeah, that's definitely well said. So gentlemen, let's close this out by doing the word to the wise just before we say our goodbyes. Oh man, that rhymes, man. I love being a poet. Okay, cool. So let's see how we're going to set this up. Mark, you want to go first, or I can go first, and then we'll take it from there. And then after myself and Mark, it could be Jimmy and then Gene. Okay, cool. So I guess I'll go first, Mark.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, ladies and gentlemen of the Wise community, tonight for this episode, or daytime, whenever you will be hearing this, once this airs, my word to the wise for you all, I'm actually going to go into my vision board that I created about a year ago. I really try to stick to it every day in terms of just grinding and trying to bring things into fruition. My word to the wise for today actually is process. Process. And when I say process, I don't mean process such as internalize something. I mean process in terms of you must have some form of framework to get to where you need to be. And the reason why I say process is because with process, you have to trust whatever your process is. I was recently watching on YouTube, both today and as well as last night, Tim Grover, former athletic trainer Tim Grover of Michael Jordan, and as well as the late, great, deceased, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. Tim Grover said that, Michael Jordan as well as Kobe were some of the most voracious and as well as the most battle-tested clients that he ever had, because when he gave them a process in regards to their workouts, whether it was working on their legs or working on their conditioning or their speed, or as well as just working on their mentality of how they should go about, saving and conserving their energy for certain quarters in a tight crunch playoff game or NBA finals. He told them, okay, well, this is what you need to do. You need to be able to have this much resistance on your body and be able to do this or do that, because this in itself will help you after all of the brutal hits you will, take on, in the midst of the game. And it will also help you to challenge yourself mentally, so that way when you're in the fourth quarter and you're down by 4 or 6 in the finals and you're trying to seal the deal, you have that mental capacity to push yourself to get there. So it's not even about the workout itself, it's about pushing yourself, through the process, and as well as trusting the process itself, knowing that there will be an end result that will come as a result of that. So I say that to say, trust the process, whatever process it is, whether it will be something in the form of having a better diet or losing weight, or as black men, whether it is educating yourself on a career that you'd like to, go into, or stocks or finance, or your own passions in starting a business, whatever it may be. Have a process, create a process, discover a process that works for you, and work diligently at it. So I think process is something that's really important, but the key to the process is not only do you have to go through with it, but you have to trust it. So that's my word to the wise today. It would just be process. Mark, what's your word to the wise today?
Awesome. I'd have to say my word to the wise is going to be team. Mm-hmm. And I say team because we spoke a lot about faith and just how your mindset can affect your decisions and your behavior toward your goals. And I feel like when it comes to faith, sometimes the people around you can influence the way you think. Mm-hmm. And if you're surrounded by people that believe there is no hope, it sometimes can alter your decisions and make you feel like you can't do things that you may know you can inside. So I feel like it's all about, keeping the right people around you. And if you've got negative people in your circle, you definitely want to either, keep your distance or encourage them to be more positive, because that can definitely affect your energy. So I'm going to keep it and just say my word is team.
Excellent, for sure. Jimmy, what's your word to the wise for today's episode?
Great question, Kev. My word to the wise, for the wise, I should say, is energy. I read a quote a couple of weeks ago. It said, don't adapt to the energy in the room, instead influence the energy in the room. And I just think to the point of our conversation and, just reflecting on us being black men, I think we black men, we need to have this innate, have this nature of understanding that we are culture carriers. And not even black men, just people in general, being a culture carrier is the best thing. When you adapt to a room, it's kind of hard to be yourself. But when you are that person who's carrying the culture and being yourself and being charismatic or being who you are, it just feels better.
Yeah.
It feels much better. Yeah. So that's the word of the wise that I would share. with everyone.
Energy. I love it. I love it. I love it. And last but not least, our brother Gene. What do you have for us, Gene? What's your word to the wise for today's show?
My words to the wise would be live, simply live, because I think that as black men and as black people, or people oppressed anywhere in the world, I think that, our Creator put us on this earth to live, not survive. And a lot of us have been in survival mode. And when you're surviving, it's beautiful because you start, there's skills that you develop that you didn't even know you developed. But I think that I'd rather live than survive, because living, it implies that I will be able to set my own course as opposed to always react, right? When you're surviving, you're always reacting, you're always responding, you're always fighting back, which is great. It's good to fight back, but at some point you're surviving so that you can get to a place where you can live. And I want, as black men in this country, in the world, as oppressed people, women, men, whatever it is, I want us to live. I want us to wake up in the morning, we're going to have worries, we're going to have stress, but I want us to feel like we belong here, that we belong on this earth. I want us to get to a place where we believe in ourselves, and I want us to get to a place where we simply live. So that's all I have to say today.
Oh, man. I thought that was an excellent way to end it. Such varying perspectives from all four of us. On the behalf of Mark and I, gentlemen, it's always a pleasure having you both on the podcast. And at this point, you guys aren't guests anymore. You guys are, alumni and official, unofficial members of the Wise Guys. Like, you guys are Wise Guys anytime you guys come on the show. For sure.
Thanks for coming on, guys. Definitely appreciate that. Definitely appreciate it.
Absolutely. Always such a wealth and abundance of information, just hearing you both speak. And I don't know, I think this has been one of our best so far. Don't you think, Mark?
I agree with that. Definitely. It's always great having these two brothers on, man.
Yeah,
Look
man.
forward to do it again. Look forward to doing it again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree on that. And I just have to say, the next time you guys are on, and I'm going to hold you both to it, and me and Mark are going to try to hold ourselves to it. It will have to be in a post-COVID-19 world, because it has to be in person. We can't do this over the phone anymore. Everything from here on out has to be in person. Seriously.
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, for sure. This was incredible, I must say. Man, thank you, brothers, again. So before we let you both go, guys, could you please be sure to share your socials, or how the folks out there can reach you, however they may, if you don't mind. So, Jimmy, I'll start with you first.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm still out.
No worries.
For me, it's Instagram, Jim, Jim _NYC. That's my main social media, so you could definitely reach me there.
Absolutely, for sure. And Jimmy, I wanted to give you a shout out and say thank you, because I remember we had Mark and I had a post for season 1 a couple months back about whether black men or not can exist and be themselves within the workplace, and you actually shared something very candid and honest about you being in the workplace, man. So we appreciate you for even engaging with us on the media, man, on the gram. So thanks for that.
Thank you so much.
No, for sure. And what about you, Gene? Where can they find you online, or where can they reach out to you through email, or however you feel comfortable and best?
It's fine. I'm back on Instagram.
Oh, really? The guy Gene is back. Okay.
I don't post much, but I'm trying to. But you can find me on Instagram at J3YDI. Again, J3YDI. I don't post much, but if anybody DM me, I always respond as long as it's positive. My timeline is very, very curated. I only follow people that make me feel like I need to do more, or make me feel like I'm doing something right, or challenge what I'm thinking. But if your Instagram is not about nothing, I usually stay away from that.
Oh, excellent. That's right up me and Mark's alley, so I'm definitely going to follow you tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
Excellent, man. Well, welcome back onto the gram. We're happy to have you. Gentlemen, again, this was great, and I have some ideas in mind for another episode, for another season down the line, but mark my words when I say the next one will be in person, and Mark and we will have you back, because it's always great when we have combos with you both, because you both challenge and stimulate us to even think more when we have these deep topics. So with that being said, thank you once again. And ladies and gentlemen of the Wise Guys, if you appreciate this show as you have, please be sure to follow us online on all socials. We're at The Wise Guys NYC. All right, that's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We're at The Wise Guys NYC. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, YouTube, Breaker. You name it, and we're there, the Wise Guys, all right? And also, please be sure, to follow us also online, through my media company, Flowered Concrete. That's at Flowered Concrete. You can also visit our website, floweredconcrete.net. We got a lot of things coming up, both for the end of this year and as well as moving into 2021, whether it's books related, short films related. We got a lot of really cool, engaging stuff that I know you guys will like. And I'll be sure to talk about that, throughout the duration of the season. So, as I said before, at the beginning of the show, all right, this is your boy Kevin Anglad,
and this is Mark Cruthers,
and we are joined again by our friends, also Wise Guys from here on out, and our very, very special guests. Gentlemen, say your names.
Jimmy Frederick
and Jin Yao.
And you have been tuning in to the Wise Guys podcast. Next week is episode 36, another good one, a very, very, very good one by myself and Mark. We're actually going to be talking to some old friends of ours, some old good friends of ours, in Teresa, Taishan, Amanda, and as well as Anais. Episode 36 is When Opposites Attract, The Ambitious Life of Women Part 2. So ladies, get ready. I know you will be ready and will be so excited for that episode, all right? So with that being said, we're logging out. So, as I would always say, see you next week.
Stay wise.